Alright guys, welcome back to my review of Dexter Season 7, Episode 2, Sunshine and Frosty Swirl. And this was one of the biggest episodes, I think, in all of Dexter. I mean, this is an event we've all been waiting for 7 seasons now. Deborah finding out that Dexter is a serial killer and that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher. So this was a huge, huge episode. It starts off and Deborah just leaves the apartment. She runs down the street, she throws up, she's trying to take this all in. Dexter tells her that Harry taught him a code. Harry knew about it, and this bothers her even more. Now she's just thinking that her whole life has been a lie. All these people have been lying to her. So she's really just freaking out. But Dexter asks if she'll please come inside and talk to him, and she agrees. So they go back in the house, and she's trying to think of something to do. She wants to turn him in, but it's also her brother. And obviously that's where this whole thing's going to come into play, is what's Deborah eventually going to do. And her plan is she's going to try to rehab Dexter. She's going to try and make him stop and not want to do any more killing. And her idea for this is to have Dexter move in with her, where she can watch him all the time. So the next day at work, Dexter is looking in the evidence room because he got that hand from the ice truck killer and he wants to see if it's the real one. So while he's in the evidence room, Masuka comes in and he's freaking out. He says, "You're looking for the hand, aren't you?" And I'm wondering, why is he not asking what the hell is Dexter doing looking in the ice truck killer evidence? But anyway, Masuka's talking to him about the hand. He says it was a mistake. Lewis helped me cover up the trail. So Dexter knows Lewis was involved with this hand. So Deborah has Dexter move in with her. And she's telling him that they're going to eat supper together. They're going to watch TV together. They're going to do everything together. She's not going to let him out of her sight. And Dexter says, "I hope you have a big shower." I thought that was a great line. But yeah, that's what she's going to do. She's going to constantly be around him, and this bothers Dexter, but he doesn't really have a choice. She's giving him no choice. It's either this or she's going to have to turn him in or something. So he's kind of just doing what he has to do right now. Meanwhile, Quinn, the other cops, go back to the strip club to try and find some information on the girl who was murdered and Mike's killer. Quinn gets some information from one of the strippers, Nadia, and they get a suspect. A bouncer at the club who was the boyfriend of the girl who was killed. So they have a suspect now. They bring him in. He tells them about Victor. And Deborah, being distracted by this, reluctantly sends Dexter out into the field where she's not going to be able to watch him. There's this guy, Wayne Randall, who went on a killing spree with his girlfriend. And they murdered all these people, and now he's wanting to help the police by showing them where the bodies are, where they can find these 3 missing bodies. And Masuka didn't want to do it, but of course Deborah didn't want Dexter to go because she can't keep an eye on him. So Masuka doesn't want to do it, and Deborah, being distracted, she says, "Dexter, okay, just go." And while he's out there in the field, he uses this time to sneak into Lewis's apartment, where he sees his credit card number. So he knows Lewis was already messing with him. He also finds out some information on this guy, Bob Henley, who apparently was the software guy that Lewis took over from or something. Anyway, it's this guy that Lewis screwed over by putting child porn on his computer or something like that so that the police would bring him down. And this was a way for Lewis to get revenge on this guy for something. And Dexter thinks he's going to try and do the same thing to him. So when Lewis comes home, Dexter shows up, grabs him from behind. He doesn't tranquilize him or anything. And he just shoves him into the wall and says, "Stop messing with me. I never want to see you at my house. I never want to see you at work." And basically just tells Lewis to get out of his life. And Lewis says, "Okay, I'm done." And instantly I'm thinking, he's going to be back. He has to come back. So Deborah shows up at the scene, and Dexter gets there late, so this really pisses her off. She's freaking out, and he says, "Don't worry, I didn't do anything wrong. I was just out." I can't remember what he said he was doing, but he assures her that he didn't go kill someone. So he's talking to this Wayne Randall guy some more about how he stopped killing, and he said he just surrendered. He realized he was in prison, and there was no escape, and He just surrendered everything, and that's how he stopped killing. So Dexter's trying to, I guess, learn from this guy, kind of like he did with the Trinity Killer. So the mob boss comes to see the guy who owns the strip club, and he says the victor never made his flight. Then he finds the bouncer, the boyfriend of the girl, and he stabs him in the eye with a screwdriver for talking to the police. LaGuerta gets the FBI evidence on Dokes, the blood slides. She's comparing them. She knows that the blood is Travis Marshall's, and I'm not exactly sure where this is going, if she's going to think Dokes is still alive somehow, or if the Bay Harbor Butcher wasn't Dokes. It could go either way. I'm pretty sure Dokes was blown up, right? So I don't think there's going to be any doubt that he's still out there. I'm not sure, but they kind of teased this a little bit in this episode. They're going to continue with that. Quinn starts a relationship with Nadia the stripper. I think this is going to end up with the stripper getting hurt, and possibly Quinn too. I just found out that next year is the last season of Dexter, and they're going to be tying up a lot of stuff. And if that's the case, I could see them killing Quinn off, and possibly a few other major characters. So Lewis shows up at Dexter's house. Of course, Dexter comes home with Deb. He's checking on Harrison, and Lewis is there, acting like they're friends. This really pisses Dexter off. This Lewis character, I find him very annoying. And Dexter realizes that Lewis isn't scared of him. So he's going to have to do something to get the message across to Lewis to stay out of his life. So at night, he drugs Deb's steak. And while she's passed out, he goes to Lewis's apartment, tranquilizes him, and then leaves him on a park bench somewhere. He was going to kill him, I think, or at least was thinking about it. But he ends up calling Deb. She's all drugged, but she wakes up and goes and meets Dexter. And he confesses that he sneaked out and was thinking about killing. Well, he doesn't say anything about having Lewis in the trunk, but he says he was feeling, all messed up, like he wanted to do something, but he called her instead. So this makes Deborah very happy that Dexter is actually improving. He is trying to get better. The next day, we see Dexter talking to Wayne Randall again. And Wayne Randall tells Dexter that he really is just a killer, and there's one person left he has to kill. And then he runs and gets hit by a truck, and basically commits suicide right there. And this messes with Dexter. He realizes that he couldn't change, that Wayne Randall couldn't change. He really was a killer. And that was it. That was the end of this week's episode. I thought it was pretty good. Of course, they had a lot of focus on Deborah finding out that Dexter's a serial killer. And I'm not going to give away anything they showed happening next week, because I know some people don't really watch the previews. Personally, I'll watch. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. It just depends. If I don't really want to be spoiled. I like to watch the show and be surprised. So I'm not going to tell you what happens or what they tease happening next week. But next week's episode looks awesome. I will say that. So I really enjoyed this week's episode of Dexter. Hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this week's episode in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye.